Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a program exclusively designed to promote reproductive health awareness and discuss fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
She's known as the Egg Whisperer.
Fertility expert Dr. Amy Advocacy.
And you have yet another success story
Just launched by an East Bay fertility doctor.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm beyond honored to have Kristin McQuaid on today, and we're going to talk about London is the Reason, support for surrogate mothers and intended parents. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and share my story and London's story with everybody.
Thank you. Really appreciate all that you're doing to bring awareness about her story and how to support surrogate moms and intended parents. And before we get into London's story, I just want to share with our listeners more about you. So Kristin McQuaid is a choreographer, dancer, designer, creative director, and producer, and you may know her work from You Think You Can Dance and Dance Moms, where her choreography has gone viral. She now stars in her own reality show, Kickin' It with Kristen, which launched on YouTube fall of 2021. Kristen and her husband, Steve, started a nonprofit organization in honor of their daughter, London Quinn, who was stillborn at 39 weeks in July of 2021. London is the Reason focuses on supporting surrogates and their intended parents through infant loss. And I can only imagine how hard it must be to talk about this, but I can only say thank you. Thank you, Kristen, for being here with us. Thank you for joining me to talk about your journey and to share London's story. So can you share about your journey? We know that endometriosis was involved. Just talk to us about your fertility journey.
Of course. Fertility has always been an issue for me. And I wanted to have a big family. So we wanted to start early, trying to have kids. And, you think, oh, everyone around me is having 500 kids. This is not going to be a problem. And, we proceeded to continue to try. It had been a couple years, still not giving up hope. We know it's going to happen. And then I dwell into some issues as far as my health goes, and I'm diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. I am a big fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know, but listen, Khloe had endometriosis, and so I thought, listen, if she can have kids and have endometriosis, so can I. Because it's really good to compare yourself to a Kardashian, right? So I still have this positive outlook on my fertility journey, and it wasn't going to stop us. I had my first surgery to clean everything out. The doctor says, Kristen, this is your chance. If you're going to get pregnant, now everything is cleaned out. This is going to happen. It's going to happen. It did. It happened, but it ended in a miscarriage at 6 weeks. So the endometriosis came back, and it came back two more times, and it led to 2 more surgeries. It got so bad to the point where the doctor said to me, we can continue to do this. We can continue to clean out the endometriosis, and you can continue to have miscarriages. I had 2 or 3 more miscarriages after the first, or we can just go with a hysterectomy. And that word is not what you want to hear when you have envisioned your family to be the perfect family with all of the kids and no problems getting pregnant. And so I thought my journey as a mom had ended in that moment. And I felt very lost, very confused, but there are so many outlets for endometriosis and for continuing to further being a mother and a parent. So surrogacy came about, and I knew nothing about surrogacy. I had thought it was just in the movies. I had no idea. So I start Googling to find out that the community of surrogacy is huge. And it really is becoming such a strong force in society, which is such a beautiful thing, because people like myself that could never have the option of being a mother can now, and feel those excitements of seeing the ultrasound pictures and hearing your surrogate say, I felt the kicks today, I felt the flutters, I was throwing up this morning. It makes you feel like you're a part of the journey. And that is why I chose to do surrogacy first before adoption. I knew I always wanted to adopt ever since I was a little girl, but I knew I wanted to feel part of being pregnant. And the closest way for me to do that was through surrogacy. So we met up with a beautiful agency, Shared Conception, and we met a beautiful surrogate and her family. She is a young, thriving hairdresser. She has 2 wonderful kids of her own, cute little family, and they wanted to help someone like myself that can't have children. So we went through the whole process, and you guys, it was beautiful. It was everything I could have imagined. I got to feel like I was carrying the child. And to me, that was the most special, I feel like, because although I had no physical connection with London, I felt very much a part of it. So we were going to the 39-week planned C-section. And this was a C-section because my surrogate had 2 C-sections with her previous children. So we knew the date. We had everything. We had the stroller. Our house looked like Disneyland for a million babies. Because you watch so many videos and they're like, well, my baby loved this. And then the next video, they're like, no, don't get that, get this. So you're thinking, wait, what do I need? So I just bought everything. London is going to love something of what I got. So we are so prepared. My parents are flying into Dallas. We get there. We have a dinner organized with the surrogate and her family. And we gave them just so many gifts. And like, you can't, as an intended parent, you can't give thanks enough. The word thank you is not enough. Gifts are not enough. The finances that they are getting for being a surrogate, it's not enough for them to give you the gift of life. And we couldn't be more excited. We go to bed. I had all of those really cheesy shirts made, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad. We were ready, you guys. So it is the day of July 14th, 2021. And I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. We have to be at the hospital at 5:30. So I wake up before my alarm and I immediately text my surrogate. Have they hooked London up to the heart monitor yet? Now listen, I have never once in the full 39 weeks have ever asked one question of health concern, because we had a textbook pregnancy. We never went to the doctor and they say, well, there might be something wrong with it. No, there was no concern. So this was very much a motherly instinct of a child that is not inside of me, but I feel solely connected with, that I felt that there was something wrong. And I didn't tell my husband. I thought, Kristen, this is the devil trying to come in and steal your joy that you have been waiting 14 years for, that you've had numerous surgeries for, numerous letdowns and miscarriages. This is your moment. Do not let the devil steal it. So I thought, Kristen, you're just crazy. So she says, nope, they haven't hooked her up yet. They're just doing the COVID test and they're doing all these kinds of stuff. I said, great. Can you let me know when they do? So I go in the bathroom. I hold this cold washcloth over my face and I'm thinking, this is not right. Something is not right. I'm still thinking that. My husband says, are we wearing our mom and dad shirts to the hospital? I said, I don't think so. And he said, well, why did you get them then? And I said, I'm trying to think of a reason to not tell him that I'm feeling this weird feeling. And I said, oh, well, what if we put them on after London is born? That way we don't get all messy, when they do skin to skin. He's like, okay. He talked me into wearing them. So there we are. We're all walking in with the cheesy shirts. I still do not hear from the surrogate at this point. We were very close to the hospital where we were staying in the hotel. I ring the bell. Hi, we're here. Our daughter is being born today. We're the intended parents. Our surrogate is back there. She told us the room number. They said, oh, okay, great. Have a seat in the lobby. She's with the doctor right now. Immediately, I felt nothing in my body. I felt so numb, I didn't even know what to think. I looked at Steve, my husband, and I said, I need you to text the surrogate's dad. And he said, Kristen, she's with the doctor. Just let them do their work. Now, my husband's a cardiologist, so he knows, in quotes, the doctor. They're busy, Kristen. Leave them be. So, I had to do a little bit of an eye roll there. And I looked at him and I said, text him right now. And he was like, okay, Kristen's serious. I've never seen her look like this. At that point, they called us back. Kristen and Steve, we're ready for you. I know. In my heart, I just know that there's something wrong. I still have not heard anything. So they walk us back and they walk us into a room in a dark hallway. And I'm like, see, I knew. They sit us down. They're like, the doctor will be right in with you. I'm like, wait, we're supposed to be in the room with our surrogate right now. We're not supposed to be in this weird testing room. The doctor walks in and she's shaking her head and she's with two nurses. And she says, it's not good. London doesn't have a heartbeat. Immediately, I dropped my head. I couldn't even cry in that moment because God had already prepared me for what was to come. I already knew that there was something wrong. My husband, on the other hand, screaming, crying, falling to the floor. What is happening? I eventually then did pass out. I was crying, as you can imagine, of anyone that just lost a perfectly healthy child. My first thought, I'm ready to go home. Take me home. I just want to leave. And then I thought, wait a minute, my surrogate still has to deliver this baby. They still have to do the C-section. And I thought, Kristen, you need to be strong for her. You need to be there for her, because if that was you in that situation, where would you want to be? So we stayed and we made sure that, she got out of the operation room, as happy is not the right word, as safely as possible. And I had a nurse come up to me. I'll never forget it. I was outside with my family sitting by the fountains. And she said, Kristen, we have London all dressed and ready. She is so perfect and so beautiful. In that moment, I wanted to punch her. Because if she was perfect, she would be breathing. She would be alive. And I knew she was beautiful. Any baby that is born on this earth is beautiful, okay? So now I understand what she is saying. She's perfect. I get it now that I have had time to to grieve and have a moment of what is happening. And I did not want to go in and hold her. I thought, no, that's going to make things a million times worse. And I've heard that where I had a couple of friends say it is the most traumatic thing, but all of the doctors and all the nurses will tell you, if you want to grieve, you need to go in and hold your child. And that just kept replaying in my head. Steve was like, I'm going to go in. You can do what you need to, but if you want to stay out here, I fully respect that. You stay out here and do that. And I could hear this whisper in my ear, go, Kristen, stand up and go. So I did. And the second I walked in the room, it was this beam of light. I immediately stopped crying. It was like, I just got chills right now because the feeling that I had was so surreal and so strong. It was in that moment that I realized that London's purpose on earth was a lot more powerful. She didn't need to live in this world without telling me what she needed me to continue to do. I looked at her and I said, you have a purpose and you want me to keep this going. I can feel it. And I still in this moment, I'm like, what is the purpose? I want you in my life. What is the purpose? Why did I want you to be here? And so we leave empty-handed. We left with nothing. Not an ounce of information, not a book, not a resource, nothing. It's almost as though, goodbye, go back to your normal life as we all will too. And that was so hard for me because I'm already feeling so lost and so confused and so hurt and like I don't even want to be here anymore. But then when I'm Googling, I can't find anything about intended parents that have lost a child, support, grieving. What can you do? I would buy all these books about infant loss, when you lose your child, stillbirth. I would have to skip 96 pages of the book because it had nothing to do with me. It almost made me feel worse because I already knew I couldn't carry a child. And then it's like, your body will feel this. And then well, no, my body's not feeling that because I never carried my child. So I was like, this is 2022. There has to be something for surrogates and intended parents.
There has to be. Absolutely.
I called every doctor, nurse, and everything. They said, there's nothing. There's nothing, no support out there for surrogates and intended parents that have lost a child.
So how did you start London is the Reason? And what kind of work are you now doing to change that?
So I knew that purpose, that feeling was there. And so I got home and I was going through my closet, and this sweatshirt right now, for those of you that are just listening, it's a black sweatshirt and it says, London is the Reason. And I had bought this sweatshirt when London was, I think, 4 or 5 months old in the womb. I wanted a sweatshirt that just said London on it. Now, I didn't want like a cheesy one, like from I didn't want like the flag, I wanted it to be cool. So I went to Etsy, which I love, and I was looking London sweatshirt. Like there has to be something. And this sweatshirt, London is the Reason, came up, and I was like, well, I don't know what that means, but I like the font and it's kind of cool. So I'm just going to get it. And then I thought, Kristen, people are going to ask you, like, what is London is the Reason? I was already prepared to answer. London is the reason I'm a mom. London is the reason I look so tired right now because she kept me up for 18 hours last night. I was so prepared. I'm not kidding you guys. I was going through these scenarios in my head of people asking me. So when we got home from the hospital, I was looking for a sweatshirt. I came across the sweatshirt and I immediately fell to the floor. And I thought, oh my gosh, London is the reason that I am going to continue her life and celebrate her and pass along her story to help others that are going through the same thing. Because there are other intended parents and surrogates that are facing infant loss every single day, and they are leaving the hospital just like I was with nowhere to turn. And London is the reason that now we can have an outlet for those surrogates, for those intended parents, to say, you know what, I left the hospital, and because of London, because of her story, because of her selfless act of not even having to live on this earth, I can leave here a little bit less lost, a little bit less of hurt and pain, because I know others are out there that have experienced this same situation, and I'm not alone. Because in that situation when I left, I thought I was the only person on the face of this earth that this has happened to. Why me? There's a billion people on this earth, and I was chosen to have my daughter taken away from me. It made no sense to me at all. But I chose in that moment when I saw it was the sweatshirt. I messaged the person that made the sweatshirt. I was like, you have no idea that you are changing the world from the sweatshirt. And the guy that made the sweatshirt was like, wow, I am in tears right now listening to what you just told me. And I was like, you have no idea. So, I chose to celebrate London in that way. And that's how I grieved. That's how I got through my day. In fact, London is the reason the nonprofit organization and the website, londonisthereason.org, was created 2 weeks after London passed. I had bought the name, I had created the website. I knew I was so driven in that moment, and I knew emotionally what I would have wanted when I left the hospital. I know what I would have felt a little bit more comforted, and that is what I wanted to have out of my heart and my soul immediately onto paper.
Yeah. And what was that? What were those things that you wish you had in that moment and you want other people to have?
The first is a letter from someone that has been through it, because you can talk to a million therapists, you can read a book, you could go online. But when you hear it from someone that has been through it and knows your pain, there's nothing more healing than that. So I have structured a letter for every surrogate, every intended parent. It took me almost a year to complete this letter because I wanted it to be so specific and helpful, yet honoring their lost child. And so the first thing in my healing box that I give to anyone that reaches out to me that is going through something like this is a letter from me. I also have a bracelet that says, "Be the reason." I wanted it to say London is the reason, obviously, because of selfish reasons. And I love my daughter's name, London. And then I thought, Kristen, not everyone's child is named London. So I thought, if I can give someone that's hurting a bracelet, something tangible to wear to honor their child, but to also be the reason that they'll be there to help someone else. Just like London has changed my life, someone that is going through it right now, you don't realize it right now, but you will help someone else along the way. And even if it's not help, You're an inspiration. Just the fact that you are waking up every single day and getting dressed and brushing your teeth, that's a start. I dug for books and material and resources that could be a help that weren't necessarily about infant loss. A lot of them is self-love. I felt like the most I I just felt horrible. I felt like I was worthless in that moment. Should I have called the doctor? Should I have checked her heartbeat early? You'll go through all those millions of questions, and it's usually all self blame. And guess what, guys? There is nothing you can do. You did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. This is just part of life. And the fact that I can say that now, knowing where I was, people are probably listening to me thinking, wow, this girl is crazy. She just lost her child not even a year ago, and she can speak like this. Guys, this is not how it was in the very beginning. I was in a coma when I first got home for 4 days. My husband was pouring Gatorade down my throat. Mother's Day this year was a wreck for me. I was not prepared. I thought I was going to be celebrating and no. And the reason why, and we'll get to this a little bit later, is because I adopted a little baby girl in January. And I want everybody to think about this. London is the reason. London is the reason that I adopted this little baby girl. And she is the reason that I can provide a beautiful life for her. I would not have met her if it weren't for London. And so the name London is the reason is so powerful in so many ways. So when you get that bracelet, be the reason, man, be the reason is you can connect in so many ways. You can connect it. And you just have to know that you were chosen because you're a lot stronger than you think you are. If you could have asked me 2 years ago, Kristen, just so you know, this is what you're going to go through, I would have said, oh, not me. Don't pick me. I am way too emotional. I can't do this. London is the reason I'm a better mom right now. London is the reason I am a better wife to my husband. London is the reason that I can look at situations now in a much different light and celebrate the worst, celebrate the best, because life is so precious. And I learned that holding London for the 5 hours that I got to hold her before I had to send her away. I would give anything to have that moment back. I didn't want to let her go. But when I let her go, I knew it was just the beginning of something so beautiful.
It's hard to hold back the tears listening to your story because it's so powerful because, as I can only imagine, how you were affected, but also your fertility doctor who had been there with you the whole time, had done the transfer to the surrogate. And so, I imagine that you've touched all of their lives in such an amazing, profound way, my life, and now everyone who's hearing your story, so that they can be the reason.
I'm a dance. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a dancer. So creative, life. Everything I do has been creative, except for I'm terrible at painting, writing, I mean, guys, I'm like, draw a stick figure. No, forget about it. I'm horrible. But something in me, it's so interesting how people can come into your life like London did and bring out the most beautiful things. I went to Hobby Lobby. I think I was the number one customer at Hobby Lobby for 4 months after London had passed because it was the only thing that really was my outlet. Like, what can I create today? And I wanted to thank every single nurse and every single doctor that had touched London. And I sent, I think it was 12 letters to the head nurse at the hospital. And one of them called and said, Kristen, we love our job because we get to bring life into this world every day. But then there's days like your day where it's the most traumatic day, and we will never forget that day. But it's people that leave in a positive situation, that have healthy babies, that don't thank their doctors and nurses and say, thank you for bringing this amazing human into our life. But it's those that hurt that say, thank you for bringing this beautiful soul and now my guardian angel into this world. And I just am so thankful, like you said, to the IVF doctor. They were beyond, they couldn't believe it. They were like, wait, London didn't make it? No. I was just in shock as much as you were. And I still to this day talk to the doctor that delivered London. And I will send her pictures of Bexley. And, tragedy sometimes can make the most beautiful destinations. And we speak of London as though she is here. She's hanging all over our house, pictures galore. Butterflies is her spirit animal. We have butterflies all over. We talk to Bexley about London as though she's right here with us. And we will celebrate her birthday. I had an Easter basket for her sitting right next to Bexley's. She's a part of our family. And although she's not here, that's the most important part for everyone to realize, though. Realizes if your child is not here on earth does not mean that they're gone. You need to celebrate their life as though they're here because they're there watching you. They want to celebrate right there with you. So although it's very hard to get through those, tough times, and listen, it could last a couple months of treacherous pain where you can't even do anything, or years. I've talked to some people where they said, Kristen, it's been 5 years and I'm having a hard time even getting up. So grief is a very, very interesting thing. But if you look at it as a celebration of your child, it becomes a lot less painful.
And then you've taken your message, and what I understand is you sent out information to over 200 agencies about supporting intended parents, surrogates. What did you share with them?
So when I had called about, information on supporting surrogates and intended parents, no agency could give me any information. They said, Kristen, we're kind of in the same boat as you. We don't really know what to tell our surrogates and intended parents that have lost a child, where to go or what to do. So I wrote a letter. Of course, guys, remember how I said I'm not good at writing? I write so many letters now. And let me just tell you, I'm showing the viewers that are watching, but I wrote a book too, and we'll get to this. Kristen wrote a book, guys. I didn't even like school. So trust me, this is very beyond. London has brought out some very crazy things. But I wrote a letter saying, this is my situation. I just went through a stillbirth. I am an intended parent. I have searched hours and hours for support, and I respect what you are doing as a surrogacy agency. The fact that you are giving situations and options to people that can have a child now. Science and society has moved so fast, it has not allowed us to have the support and the resources to catch up with it. And I wanted to be the reason that support can reach that level of where science and society is. You cannot tell me that surrogacy is not, everyone's talking about it. I'm watching like YouTube videos of my favorite YouTubers, celebrities, this and that. Everyone's doing surrogacy. There's so many different options. Now, you might be an actress that, you don't want to get great. But most of us, we can't have children. And surrogacy is our only way to turn to besides adoption, which is also just so fabulous. But I said to them, here's your outlet. Here you go. This is something now that you can turn to. I also attached flyers. And I said to them, I hope you never, ever have to use this flyer. I hope I wasted so much money printing these out. The amount of people that reached out to me after those letters is overwhelming. Kristen, we have been waiting for something like this to come along. We don't have this. Kristen, we just went to Seed's convention for surrogacy. You need to be there. You need to be speaking your voice and your story and to say, we have an option now to help those that are hurting. Not hurting tomorrow, but also yesterday, a year ago, 5 years ago. Because grief doesn't go away. I will face this for the rest of my life. I will have great days and I will have bad days. And that's just the nature of grieving and losing something. But I feel like it makes me smile every time I get an email or a call or a letter back from a surrogacy agency. They're, Kristen, can we talk to you right now? Well, I'm currently changing a diaper. Right after that, I would love to talk to you. So you can imagine it was a lot of work, but every envelope, and I licked every single one of them. I don't know if that's good to say, like, when COVID's like on the rampant, but listen, I'm fine, I'm healthy. But every time I licked and every time I put a stamp on, I just got more chills every time. I was like, yes, London, London, London. Every time I put her stamp on everything.
So what do you wish people knew more about when it comes to just the whole process of finding a surrogate now that you've gone through this experience yourself? And what do you wish you had known maybe in the beginning that you now know that could have potentially prepared you for anything that could have happened during the pregnancy?
You will know when you talk to your surrogate options as an intended parent, you will know the right one. It's like, when people tell you, oh, you'll know when he's the one. You'll know when she's the one. And I'm thinking, my friends are telling me that. I'm like, okay, you guys are crazy. How am I just going to know? But then, don't you know? You meet that person and you're like, wait a minute, I think this is going to be my husband. So you're going into a relationship with these people and they're carrying your child. They're growing your child and they're giving you the best gift of your entire life. And so you'll know. Don't overthink it. Don't say, should I have picked A over B? Should I have picked? No, the situation that you are presented with is going to be the correct one. If there is something that I wish I would have known, this is hard, guys, because I want to say I wish I didn't get as close to my surrogate. But in the same sentence, I'm so glad I did. It's so hard because I feel like my surrogate, when I lost London, in a selfish way as an intended parent, got to be with London more. I got 5 hours when London wasn't breathing, but my surrogate got 9 months of kicking and hiccuping and everything. It almost makes you feel a little jealous. So it's hard, like you want it's almost like you have to protect your heart. But I don't want everyone to go into it with fear, because it's also such a beautiful relationship. And most of the time, it's a beautiful ending. But when it's not, it becomes a little different. And then you really thought, oh, I should have protected my heart. I should have guarded my heart. I should not have been so eager to know every detail about London and so eager to be so a part of this, because now it's not there. But at the same time, I don't know if I would ever take it back. One of my friends said to me, it's like a situation where you wish it didn't happen, but at the same time, you wouldn't trade what happened. Gosh, and that is so. How are you saying, Kristen, you wish you wouldn't trade that London didn't go to heaven? Because I wish I could be holding London right now while I'm doing this interview with you. I really do. And I want to hear her laugh, and I want to see her smile, and she would be at the cutest age right now, eating all of the solid foods and making a mess everywhere. But I also wouldn't be here to change the world. Let me correct that.
No, you are changing the world. I wouldn't correct it, but yes.
London is changing the world. I'm being her messenger. I actually had a meeting with a surrogate that just went through a loss very similar to mine, very far into the journey. And she was the surrogate, and very different emotions. And that's what is also so hard about intended parents and surrogates, is we face very different grieving emotions and levels. It's not the same. Very, very different. And different if you had a natural birth, of where it's your own child and you naturally conceived. Every one of those is so different. But she messaged me the next day and said, Kristen, that is exactly what I needed to hear. I have talked to so many therapists and so many people that thought, okay, this is what I need. And all I did was just listened. And I told her my story, and that's all she needed. And I told my husband, I just got the best email of my entire life. And he said, what is it? And I said, she feels better. She doesn't feel like it's her fault. She doesn't feel like she's beating herself up. And I said, London is the reason. She's the reason that girl can live her life a little better. If I can help one person, and listen, I already did. So if I can help even a handful of people, that's all I want. That is all I want. Now, you're speaking to Kristen, who has the biggest personality, and I think I can conquer every hobby known to man, which I can't. I can really just should stick to dance. But I wish I could change everybody. Everyone that has lost a child, and God forbid, anyone that is going to go through what I did, I wish I could hold their hand and say, it seems like the worst day of your life. But let me just tell you, it is just the beginning of the most beautiful journey that you are going to have. And you have somebody watching over you every single day. I wake up and I feel so blessed to say, hey, you're up there. How you doing? Thanks for watching me.
So for, let's say, intended parents who have learned the devastating news about a surrogate stillbirth, how can they reach out to you and get the support? What is the best way?
So on my website, londonisthereason.org, there is a need support column up at the top, and it says connect with Kristen. You can go to my calendar, pick a date that works for you, and we communicate, we connect, and we talk. When I was writing the little column on there that says, like, first off, I'm not happy that you're here. I did not want to meet you like this. However, you're here, so let's be friends. But I also wrote, if you schedule a time and you get to that day and it's the minute before you're supposed to have this and you feel, I can't do this. Emotionally, I can't get there. Guess what? You're talking to somebody that understands. So if you need to cancel, reschedule, come back in a year, I'll still be here. Okay. I'm not young, but I'm not old. Okay. So I'll be here. All right. You let me know when. And I liked that because, sometimes when you're like, you book a flight and you're like, well, I got to be there. Whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, I have to be there if I want to get from A to B. With connecting with something like this, you have to be prepared. You have to be mentally ready to talk, to listen. And it feels like you're running a marathon. I remember right after London had passed and people were asking me about the story. Every time I talked about it, I had to take a 3-day nap because even though you might not be crying, the emotion that your body is pouring out is so exhausting. So not only is London allowing me to change lives, she's also allowing me to not go to the gym, which is fantastic because I am exuding so much energy every day by talking to people, and it's like exercise.
And then what about for people who are listening and they're just so inspired and in awe of you and just want to support London is the Reason? What can we do to help?
Well, first off, I would love any support that we can get. The healing boxes that I provide for surrogates and intended parents, most of them will be delivered to hospitals, as many as I can reach out to, that will already be there for the intended parent or the surrogate to be delivered at their hospital room. But those are not cheap. Okay. Nor do I want them to be. Man, you just lost your child. You deserve everything. So if you can donate any amount of money on londonisthereason.org, there are donate paper buttons all over. I think I put it like in 5 or 6 places because, you always want to know where it is. I needed it to be convenient for everyone. And so you can go on there. It can be a monthly donation where you can, every month, it draws out a certain amount, or it can be a one-time donation. And no amount is too little. Every single dollar is going to help someone. And that's that's so powerful. Like you think, okay, I'm giving $5. Well, $5 for somebody is going to change a lot. So anything that you guys can do. And also if you want to donate your time to help. If you are an intended parent or a surrogate that has gone through this and you want to be a part of the foundation and the motivation of supporting surrogates and intended parents in the future, please reach out to me. The more that we have on our team, the better. And I just feel like, let's make this a community. Let's make what a crazy thing. We want to make this a community. It's a sad community, but also we shouldn't make it sad. Let's make it powerful, And so donating your time too is exactly what we need. You guys can go on. I have a picture of London on the website. You guys can go see how beautiful London is. She is a superstar. She's a queen. I love her so much. So you guys can go on and read about her on the website as well, even a little bit more than what I've told you. And there's also pictures of the healing boxes on the website. My book, I'm going to do a selfless promo here. This book, if you are a parent or you know someone that has lost a child and they have a sibling, or you have a sibling and you do not know how to explain infant loss to your child, you need this book. So this book is narrated by my dog Gunner, who's a Scottish Terrier, and it talks about how his mommy's belly is broken. And it's me and Steve in here. I'll show you guys. There's me and Steve. Okay. So, and Gunner is so excited to get his baby sister. And he learns about the surrogate, how she has an empty belly, and my mom's going to borrow it to grow her belly or to grow her baby. And he sits by the door for hours and hours. And then we walk in empty-handed. And at first he thinks, what is going on? This can't be right. But then he learns about her energy and her spirit, and that she's still there, although she's not there. And he sees white butterflies filling. I want to read you guys just this last little part, because I don't want to spoil the whole book, but okay. So I sat on the couch and licked their tears. I was so sad we had waited all these years. Days turned to nights and I started to lose track. And then all of a sudden, I felt something on my back. It wasn't an ant. It wasn't a fly. It was the most beautiful white butterfly. My mommy taught me all about heaven. She said, "Your sister is there. Can you feel her presence in the air?" Could that butterfly have been a sign sent down from heaven? I closed my eyes and I talked to my sister. I said, "If you can hear me, give me a whisper." I squeezed my eyes even tighter, hoping she could hear me. And you wouldn't believe what was near me. White butterflies filled the sky as if she was nearby. I miss you, sissy, but one day you'll see. We will be together and you can finally meet me. So this was not meant to be a book, guys. Remember Kristen writing? No. I was just writing. And all of my friends and family were like, "Kristen, this should be a book, a children's book, to teach them about how losing a child, losing their brother or their sister it's going to be okay." And I was like, "Guys, you're crazy. I've never written a book before." Well, I'm happy to say that this is published on Amazon. An angel gave us our angel, and you guys should go get it. Oh, the best part about this book is that every penny that is earned by you guys buying this book goes back into London is the reason. I know I'm going to be a New York bestseller. Okay. So I know there's going to be millions rolling in from this book. which is all going to go into London is the reason. I think if I speak it, I'm really manifesting it, you know? So the more I say it, the more that I feel like it's really going to happen. So go check out my book, you guys. Let me know. Email me and let me know if you guys got it and how you like it. So
Kristen, thank you for being on the Egg Whisperer Show. Thank you for being such an amazing person and sharing your love for London with us. We all love London too. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off today?
I just want everyone to know that you're not alone, number one. And number two, your baby doesn't need to be here on earth for you to celebrate their purpose in life. I know it's hard to hold those tears. I know.
Thank you, Kristen, for everything.